Anybody else want to comment on legal? You said illegal, Mo, but I was right because I was going to ask about illegal too. But anybody else want to comment? Legal, legal,
illegal. Of course, illegal. I live. I just moved from a whole building of illegal immigrants. Okay. And they harassed me and my son for approximately like 2 years. They were nasty. They didn't like black people. They didn't like white people. Everybody that was in an apartment building that was an American, that was black or white, they was hustling them, giving them eviction notices so they can't go look for another apartment. Girl, they had roaches. They wouldn't exterminate. And then when they moved out, like the whites and the blacks, and it was only a few of us in there, I saw them moving in their family members because they was going from like door to door. And that's how I noticed. I was like, dang, they know each other. So I said, y'all all illegal immigrants. And they told me the landlord, I was, nice and cool with them. And he would tell me, well, they're hard workers. They get up like at 5 o'clock in the morning and they go to work and they come home and take care of their family. And then I found out that the owner of the property was also illegal, and he was from Germany. And they had like over 200 apartment buildings that they basically was renting out to illegal immigrants. And I'm like, well, this could be 200 apartment buildings for, the American people that's homeless in California, living on the street right now. I said, because, y'all are illegal. Y'all not even supposed to be here. And y'all have 200 apartment buildings. And so, then, my son actually knew the landlord's family, and he was talking about how, was telling my son, because he was a legal immigrant too, how, the people that we were living by, they was grimy, and they didn't like black people. And, they was taking care of, their illegal immigrant families. So I lived around that, and they would do like little dirty stuff to you, or say dirty stuff to you, and harass you, and then they watch who was coming and going in your apartment, and so they don't like black people. The ones that some of them I know that do like black people, but a lot of them do not like black people. And these black Americans, sitting up here supporting them, they need to go down to see what's going on Skid Row, where all the black people are on Skid Row, and these people aren't even supposed to be in the United States, and they got roofs over their heads, them and their children, and they have all the jobs. So, it's a big problem with these illegal immigrants. And, some of them will tell you, yeah, my people are, over here to do bad in the United States. And illegal immigrants, could be, a Muslim, somebody from another third world country, could be, from anywhere. It doesn't have to just be Mexico or, Guatemala or El Salvador. They came into the United States from all over the world. And that was to implement the New World Order. And that's what we have. We have the whole world living inside the United States. So it's not just one race that we're dealing with. And that's what a lot of people need to wake up and realize. We ain't just dealing with Mexico. We dealing with a whole lot of countries that are in the United States that, aren't American friendly. Okay, they said befriend your enemy. So, we have to be careful about these illegal immigrants in our country.
And, it's funny you say that, because I was talking about like how, people would talk about, the wars that politicians started, and then they go and they bomb other countries. And imagine you're in that country and maybe you get married, your fiance gets bombed, your friends get bombed, your city gets bombed. Why would you let people in your country without checking them out, that you've just destroyed their life? Exactly. Like if I was them, I would want to start stuff, like we watch these movies, as Americans, like Gladiator and Braveheart, and we cheer the heroes on when they go in, and beat up the guy that like bombed their family or burned their family. Like I think in Gladiator, they like lynched his family and like burned them at the same time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, why would you not want to like make people suffer that did that to you? That's just human nature. you know.
Right.
And
Yeah.
what's frustrating too, a lot of these people that are supporting this, they have this mentality where they're just like incredibly like naive, like they live in a bubble, like that couple that went on that biking trip and was trying to prove that there wasn't evil in the world.
Yeah.
You know, and
Right.
they got
Yeah.
ran off the road and stabbed to death. What a horrible way to die. And they're grown, they were adults, they're like 25 years old. They're at least 25 or older. They weren't like kids,
Young
but
and
they're
dumb.
adults that have that mentality.
Yeah.
Now, I was talking to Kaila. I kept girl. I was calling you Kaila. I'm sorry, Kaila. I was talking to Kaila. I said that we might differ a little bit just because on the I think we mostly in agreement with everything, but just on the subject of illegal immigrants. When I grew up the first few years of my life, most of my friends were illegal, and I'm friends with some of them today, and a lot of my students were illegal. So I think, you know, I guess, and at this point, I'm in favor of going after the criminals and after the sleeper cells first. And maybe I was saying, maybe wishful thinking that maybe there could be some kind of like program where if you know somebody that's illegal but they're doing good, that maybe there could be like a mentorship program where you can vouch for that person. You both get vetted, something like that. I'm just throwing it out there, just because.
Isn't that like DACA? Isn't that kind of like DACA? Is that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I know it's like a pathway for them to be legal. And I mean, obviously, if they're not criminals and stuff, they can. But they said that most of the people, they didn't even fill out the applications. Like they offered it, and there was like they had so many slots, and they were like, oh well, we're too scared that we're gonna be, they thought they were gonna be deported. But that's the whole point, is to not be deported. And so I think that another problem is that these people may still just not accept it, like fill out the application for fears that they'll still be taken away. Got you.
And I've had going on with legal immigrants, I've had lots of friends from all over the world too that are legal, that have busted their butt, that have spent money, that have come from war-torn countries just to be in America. And it took me living outside of America to really understand how great America really is. Our ideology, our Constitution is very, very imperative to the structure that we have in this country, and why we're able to have our freedoms, and why people are still busting their butt to get here. So let me ask this question to you guys. Do you believe illegal, so most of you are going to be talking about illegal immigrants, are bad or good or both? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, they're terrible. All of them.
Bigot.
Racist, white supremacists.
You better stop dog whistling all that racism over there, okay? Dog whistling.
Yeah, you're racist.
Dog whistles.
Don't get me started.
Man, I mean, I'll say something on that. I mean, I think if you break the law, if you show your willingness to break our law, how can we know that you're not going to break other laws? If you don't respect the rule of law, you shouldn't be able to come in the country, period. I don't think it's like, oh, I just broke the law this one time and I won't try to circumvent any other laws. Because think about it, if you could come over, cross the border, you get over scot-free. Let's say you are driving without a license and then you get into a car accident. Well, you're like, well, shit, I could just go to a sanctuary city and I'll be good. So it could actually snowball into just a life of crime over here. And because the left has made it so easy for them to come over here legally and not have any incentive to become legal citizens, they can just do whatever they want, essentially. They pretty much get a free pass. Like if you can cross the Rio Grande, make it to our country, you've already broken the law by coming over illegal. We don't know what your baggage is coming over from the country you were at before, but then you can get into other kinds of, because you're under the radar, essentially. So you're flying on the radar. You don't have to pay taxes. So I think based on the fact that you're illegal coming here to start, you're already off on the wrong foot. So I do think it's a bad thing, even though some of these people might be good people, as Trump said, right? Some are good people. I mean, I'm sure they are good people, especially if they're coming over with kids, they just want a better life. But if they've been living in like rural, I don't know, Venezuela or something, they don't know how to like function in a first world city and They don't know how to navigate. So it pretty much are going to be a supreme candidate to go on welfare. And when they're on welfare, we're paying for that. So I have a big problem with that. Even if they're good people, if they're going on welfare in our country and we have people here that are struggling, you know, people dying on the floor of the VA and, you know, kids drinking lead water in Michigan and all the crime in Chicago, and they're not taking care of American citizens, especially people that are already at the bottom in America, which are black people, then I don't have any sympathy for the illegals coming over here.
What do you say with the argument of people that are coming that are refugees? I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit, because people would just be like, "Oh, well, they're refugees. They're running from their country." And what do you say about that?
Well, it's really easy to shut down that argument with the left, because they, you know, when they show all this sympathy for illegals, they don't really care about illegals. They just want to feel moral and virtuous, right? While also shaming someone else. So it's actually rooted in narcissism and insecurity on their part. So I could call them out on that, because I'm like, if you really care about immigrants and people who seek an asylum and refuge and all that, there are people from other countries who don't have the luxury to cross a river to come here. Like, let's bring people from Africa. Let's bring people from Southeast Asia. Let's bring people from parts of Europe that are war torn and the crime is bad. Like, if you really care about illegal immigration, or not legal immigration, if you care about people seeking a better life coming over here, why don't you figure out a way to help those people come over from other countries? Like, let's at least get some variety over here, instead of just like, oh, our neighboring countries, they need help. They talk about it like it's some phenomenon, like only Central and South America are having problems with crime and tyranny and, you know, homelessness and socialism. I mean, it's happening all over the world. All the third world countries have the same problems that they have here. Like, look what's going on in Haiti, right? So people that hate what's going on here, you know, like people shaming us for hating on, you know, illegal immigration. Why don't they do something to help people from all across the world, instead of just, oh, you know, CNN's talking about immigrants coming over from Guatemala, so I care so much about them right now. It's like, no, you don't. So that it's just really easy to shut down that argument when you know that they're just trying to seek the moral high ground. It's not really about caring about illegals or people coming from worse off conditions, because if it were, they would be proactive about it, not just responding to what's trending on Twitter and social media.
It's kind of like the same thing. I want to speak. Mo, if you don't, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, you did mute your mic. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I want to speak to that too. So, I drive for Lyft, and I drive around the city, and I noticed, if you guys know who Beto is, he's the Democratic Socialist that's running against to unseat Ted Cruz, and all the Beto signs are in the well-to-do, white, rich areas of Austin, basically. And it really ticks me off because, you know, these people aren't directly affected by illegal immigrants. Their schools aren't overcrowded. You know, they're not facing homelessness. They can find parking. So, I mean, people that want to preach this stuff, it's just like, why don't you help them to become legal and stop exploiting them for their free, cheap labor, or stop exploiting them to make yourselves feel better, you flipping hypocrites. You know? This is the deal. Like I just kind of noticed this, and this is the thing that really prompted me to want to do this, because I really noticed, like in the poor areas, in the black areas of Austin, maybe might be like one or two Beto signs. In the rich areas, like, oh my God, just neighborhoods of Beto signs all over. And I'm just like, these people they're not going to even be affected by you know, the illegal immigrants. Because why? Because they can't afford to live in the rich areas. They're going to move to the poor areas because they're cheaper. I mean, it's just as if you're.
Well, Mo, did you want to make a comment? If not, I want to make a comment.
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me good? Can y'all hear me good?
Yeah, you want to make a comment?
My comment I'm gonna make before everybody go ahead and do their rant is, I always was taught obey the lands of the law, even though other people gotta suffer for it. Like I told you, I got a good friend, he had to suffer for it, but sometimes you gotta obey the lands of the law. It's sad, but obey the lands of the law because your kids can suffer, but the law is the law, even if your kids got deported. If your grandkids got deported, the law is the law. I feel bad, but I don't feel that bad because your mama should have obeyed the law, and we got to go ahead and obey the lands of the law. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It is what it is. I'm not bitter because guess what? One of my good friends, much love to your brother, he's doing better out there because I seen the dirt he did down here. I seen how he was tripping. I mean, he would know that. He told me if I would have never got deported to back to Korea, he said this, I would have been 6 foot under. He said, you are blessed, brother. And you know what? Let's take a touch on Facebook. And that's all it is. This is what I see. It's not what I research. It's what I see. You know, so sometimes we got to go by what we see around us. Because sometimes the news try to lie to you and tell you certain things. But let's go what we see over here. I'm going to tell you what I see, and this is real. This is something that will never get on the news. Okay? Go ahead.